Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's webinar on LPG supply crisis in India and its implication for the DRE cooking sector. I'm Gitanjali Purkastha, and I want to thank you all for joining us. We are delighted to see so many DRE cooking enthusiasts coming together for what is a very timely and important discussion. So I'll just brief on why we are doing this webinar. So over the past few months, global conflicts and supply chain disruptions has increasingly affected energy systems across the world. In India, these challenges are beginning to impact LPG's availability, affordability, and reliability, raising important questions about how we can ensure sustained access to decentralized renewable energy based cooking for millions of households. At the same time, the situation presents an opportunity to revisit the role of decentralized renewable energy based cooking solutions and explore how they can contribute to a more resilient and diversified DRE cooking ecosystem. To help us unpack these issues, we have an excellent panel representing different DRE cooking technologies and approaches. We are joined by Vishakha Chandera, founder of Urjabox, which promotes cooking with natural fuels. She has extensive experience in climate and energy sector, and will also be bringing in perspective from two end users, Ms. Rajeshri Parwal and Ms. Aruna Soman. We also have Piyush Sohani, Managing Director of Systema Bio India, who has led the expansion of one of the country's largest biodigester programs, reaching over 1 lakh users across India. With over 15 years of experiences at the nexus of climate change and rural development, Mr. Piyush has worked with many reputed organizations and co-founded Sustain Earth Energy, a social enterprise aimed at revolutionizing DRE-based cooking solutions in India. And joining us from Australia is Rochelle Colling, founder and CEO of Himalayan Rocket Stove, whose work focuses on efficient biomass based cooking solutions and reduced fuel consumption in Himalayan communities. He also developed the formula for the smokeless cook stove, which is now being rolled out by the Smokeless Cook Stove Foundation. And beyond Himalayan rocket stove, he founded and runs Rocket Man Designs and Eco Stove Australia. This session will be moderated by Dr. Priyadarshini Karve, the CEO of Clean, whose leadership and work in the decentralized energy sector needs little introduction. With that, I would like to hand over to Dr. Priyadarshini Karve to set the context for today's discussion and lead us through the session. Thank you once again for joining us, and I hope you find the discussion insightful and engaging. Thank you.
Thanks, Gitanjali. So, Gitanjali has already introduced our speakers today, and I just want to highlight that decentralized renewable energy for cooking has been around for a long time, and even among the speakers, you'll see that there is diversity of technologies that have been around for a while. But in India, for the last few years, the direction has been that cooking fuels are LPG for cities, pipe natural gas, and electricity, and only technologies based on these have been promoted. From climate change perspective, also it is necessary that in every sector we start moving towards renewable energy. But in cooking sector, everybody has been pushed towards fossil fuels, and now this current geopolitical situation, which suddenly created a shortage of LPG, which has hit primarily the commercial cooking sector, but there is apprehension and stress in the household kitchens also, because there is, I mean, all sorts of fossil fuel shortages have started hitting now, and costs have gone up. So LPG, even for households, there may be some shortage coming up, is the fear. And because of that, suddenly people have started looking for options and rediscovered all these options to some extent, which, as Gitanjali said, creates an opportunity for the sector. And the idea is we will try to explore this new twist in the tale of the decentralized renewables for cooking in this conversation. So I now first invite Vishakha to talk about solar cooking and what is happening in that sector. Uh, Vishakha, over to you.
Hello, a very good afternoon to all of you. Um, Something is wrong with my connectivity, so I'll just let the video be.
The,
Uh,
please go ahead.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so it is interesting to see so many people interested in DRE. Not many years ago, we were not expecting to have so many audiences for any of our discussions. And I'm really looking forward to this discussion, especially from Piyush and Russell, to see how their experience has been so far in the last 1.5 years, thanks to the ongoing conflict between three nations. With solar energy, with solar cookers, uh, we have solar cookers have been around for almost 100 years now, and we have seen the evolution of solar cookers bit by bit, uh, and also the shift in the government policies regarding promotion of solar energy for cooking. So, in the 1980s, there was a subsidy on solar cookers, and the solar cookers were largely a part of the clean cooking campaign run by the government. However, as years progressed, as the housing scenario changed and the availability and access to LPG increased, through various government schemes and subsidies and improved availability of bottled gas cylinders. The subsidy was eventually taken away. There was very little money that was invested into, rather, I would say there is very little money that is invested into the innovation and development of solar cookers. So, solar cookers, mainly all of us know the well-known four-pot box solar cooker is something that most of us have seen either in schools or some of you might have used them in your households. Apart from that, the parabolic models have been somewhat successful. For community cooking, the Scheffler designs were tried, and also the latest entry is the tube solar cookers, and after that again we have had the Surya Nutan cook stove, which uses the phase change material for cooking, and it's a hybrid combination of solar photovoltaic and the phase change material, which is allowing the heat storage aspect for solar cookers and probably might allow indoor solar cooking, which is one of the major constraints for people to use solar cookers, that we do not have enough availability of sunlight, and it is not accessible when we want to cook, so, or the cooking and the meal timings do not match. So these have been the challenges in the solar cooking industry. However, having said that, the industry still survives, and there are many solar cookers that are being manufactured and sold. So, in this season, as the war and the season was coincidentally aligning to each other, there was a huge surge in the sale of solar cookers. Uh, Never ever have we catered to more than 500 inquiries in a day, which we did in this season, and that was mainly because uh, people were panicking due to availability of or the anticipated shortage of LPG. For community cooking or institutional cooking also, uh, people wanted to explore some things, but they were not prepared in terms of the capital investment or in terms of the know-how of how what are the available technologies, how we could use them, how effective they would be. So education is one of the most important aspects when it comes to any of the DRE solutions. uh, Either currently the situation is either people want to use it as they like the taste, or because it's a passion project kind of a thing for them, or they want to highly idolize the technology and have too many expectations out of it. So a proper education and awareness is the next aspect after innovation, I would say, which plays a very important role in the proper adoption and increased adoption of distributed renewable energy technologies, like solar energy technology. Some myths around solar energy cooking are like it will replace your LPG, or it will, once you have a solar cooker, it will do everything for you. So we need to understand that even now in our kitchens we have fuel stacking, where we have solar energy and electrical energy, or uh, in semi-urban and rural households is LPG plus chulha or electricity plus chulha, whatever is the available combination. So solar and biogas, or solar biomass plus biogas, gives a very enough uh, kind of a solution where you can completely be in control of your cooking fuel, and the dependency on imported fuel will reduce to a large extent. So, education awareness, and then obviously the ecosystem around solar cookers. So many people say that our solar cookers have are damaged a bit. We need cooking pots. We need more cookbooks. We need to understand how to use these devices effectively. So, the ecosystem around the solar cookers. So there is something like a Facebook support group called the Solar Cooking Club, which helps new users to adopt to solar cooking, to quickly adapt solar cooking. So likewise, such more ecosystems and in different, or I would say in vernacular languages, are required to reach each and every person who would want to explore solar cooking. And so Urja Box conducts awareness sessions or demonstration sessions where we show exactly what a cooker looks like, how it works, what to expect from it, how to best use it, what are the costs. There are no financing mechanisms around any of the solar cooking systems as of now. So even if we were to use the advanced Surya Nutan kind of cook stoves, the costs are imperative. And to bring down the cost, we need the innovation ecosystem around it. Unless and until that happens, we cannot really think of large scale adoption of uh, solar cookers. And that's where we have a big challenge. In terms of using solar cookers, we have seen n number of times that once people get to use it, once people taste are able to taste the food cooked on it, they see the convenience, they know how to use it effectively, then there's no going back. So we have users who have used solar cookers for over 30 years continuously. So, so we know that the bottleneck is the starting point where awareness, innovation, and education will together help them to take that step and move forward that point, past that point, and then perhaps it will be an easy journey forward. So that is where we are in terms of solar cooking, and I think we have two users with us today who have been using solar cookers. One of them have purchased a solar cooker, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and our other user has recently purchased a solar cooker. So we would quickly listen from our users about their experience in using solar cookers. So first I would go to Rajeshri Parwar. Uh, Can Gitanjali, can you please unmute her?
Yes. Just
Yeah. हाँ
हॅलो हॅलो
yeah.
हा हा विशाखा मॅडम
हाँ
हा
हिंदी किंवा मराठीमध्ये बोला
मराठीतच सांगते
चालेल. So
हा
she is going to speak in Marathi and I will translate whatever is required. Yeah. So,
मी मी हाऊसवाईफ आहे. हॅलो
हाँ बोला ताई.
मी हाऊसवाईफ आहे. हा आणि मी 5 वर्ष झाली आहे सोलर कुकर यूज करते आणि मला खूप त्याचा फायदा होतोय. मी त्याच्यात वरण भात कडधान्य दूध सगळे पदार्थ बनवते आणि आमच्या घरातल्यांना दुसरी टेस्ट आवडतच नाही सोलर कुकर शिवाय. कुकरवरती सुद्धा त्यांना भात वगैरे आवडत नाही. हा
आणि किती दिवस वापर होतो वर्षातला?
Vishakha, I think you should translate in the
Okay.
steps.
हा जवळजवळ 8-9 महिने वापर होतो त्याचा. म्हणजे
Okay.
हिवाळ्यात सुद्धा होतो त्याचा वापर.
Okay. So she is saying that she has purchased the solar cooker 5 years ago. She cooks dal, rice, lentils using the solar cooker, and now her family prefers the taste of solar cooked food rather than anything else. And she uses the solar cooker almost 8 to 9 months in a year. So आणि तुम्हाला असं वाटतं का की त्याचं म्हणजे गॅस आणि सोलर कुकर मध्ये थोडा दिवस जर म्हणजे गॅस वाढला का गॅसचा काय म्हणता येईल त्याला समजा 1 महिन्यात सिलेंडर जात होता तर तो आता जास्त दिवस चालतो का?
हो जातो ना. म्हणजे मला आधी 2 महिने जात होता सिलेंडर. आम्ही तिघच आहेत ना. तर आता जवळजवळ 3 महिने जातो. 3-3.5 महिने सिलेंडर.
ओके.
घ्याची बचत होते.
बरोबर. So she's saying that she's able to save the LPG earlier, which she was using for like 2 months. Now the usage has been extended for over 3 months. चालेल राजेश्री ताई आपण
हा
पुढच्या.
ठीक आहे थँक्यू.
थँक्यू.
हा
Gitanjali, can you please mute Rajeshri Tai and unmute Aruna?
Yeah. Tell me when to start.
Yeah, you can start.
So I recently purchased this box kind of solar cooker, and of course I was also panicking because in our household we have a house and we have an outhouse where another family stays, and they don't have a LPG connection. So my LPG connection we have to use for 2 families, and it was impossible to do that because these days we can order the LPG cylinder only after 25 days. And for 2 families, it wasn't enough. So I bought this Urja cooker. Actually, a friend of mine, she asked me to go to Priyadarshini, but their cooker was not available. So she gave me your number. And since we bought this, both the families are utilizing to the fullest extent. One major thing what we need to do is we have to look at the weather forecast because if we are going to have strong sun the next day and not another day, then what we do is we use it to maximize our use. Make more dal, we make more rice on that day, and then we reheat the next day. So we save energy because time is going to come that we are not going to get this cylinder and we will be left with nothing. And I've recently done this course in ecology. So, of course, this was on my mind that zero fuel cost and means it can't be zero, but reduced fuel cost, low maintenance. It doesn't need any maintenance, no emission, no tree cutting. So, I was looking at all these advantages and I really needed to buy it. I didn't actually have to wait for this crisis to take place, but my bad. I waited, but I'm extremely happy that I have one now. And also, it has this aluminum body, so there's hardly any corrosion. It is helping us, and that's all I can say. And we last LPG we ordered was a month and a half ago. Because if we look at the weather forecast, then we are able to utilize solar energy really well. That's all I need to say for that.
Thanks. Thanks a lot, Aruna.
Thank you.
Yeah, Vishakha, your time is up. If there's anything very burning that you want to say, otherwise we'll move on.
No, my food is burning. That's it.
Okay, thanks a lot, Rajashri आणि Aruna, दोघींचे आभार. Now let us move on to Russell.
Hi. Thanks for inviting me. I'll apologize up front for my horrible Australian accent. I'll try not to speak too fast. So just a little background. Why is this Australian even in this conversation? I do feel like I'm more here to listen than to speak, but I'll just give a little background. I started traveling in India back in 92, and I've probably spent over 10 years of my life in India. I definitely consider it my second home. I started Himalayan rocket stove almost 10 years back, and the problem we were trying to solve was space heating in particular and fuel consumption. So we were just refining the model of jamming a rocket stove into a metal box to make it fit the context, the cultural context in particular of the Himalayas. So I'm coming fairly late to the cooking. Well, I mean, our stoves are always used for cooking as a secondary function, but we're now focusing much more on stoves that use clean biomass combustion for cooking as a primary function. It's always been something I've been acutely aware of, and as Gitanjali mentioned in the intro, I did develop a clay rocket stove concept where we could create a two-pot cooking solution using rocket stove technology out of Mitti and for virtually zero cost. And a good friend of mine, Natisha Agrawal, is leading the Smokeless Cook Stove Foundation, rolling out that work as a training program. So I guess I have some exposure to the cooking sector in that sense. The thing that I find, I guess, interesting in this context, and I think Vishaka, you spoke to that, is a solution in a sense is only as good as the adoption. And what we found was the friction is often the change in habit for the user. And to speak to that from our own experience, my original prototype for clean combustion space heating was 4 times more efficient than traditional Bucati. But it involved a change in habit that was prohibitive. And we actually got pushback from the women of the household. So we redesigned the whole thing. So it's now only 2 times as efficient, uses half the fuel instead of quarter of the fuel. The users love it. They like the form factor. They're happy with it involved very minimal habit change. And so the adoption was much higher. So far better to have a moderately good solution that is used rather than a fantastic solution that is never used in our experience. So if I just speak to where I think we are, globally, the energy crisis, I think we have yet to see the true impact. And I think what we've had so far is a little teaser. Speaking in Australia, the fuel prices spiked and then they came down when the government said, no, nothing to see here, no problem. Meanwhile, they were desperately sourcing reserves from around the world. And that's what I believe is happening pretty much everywhere, and including India. So the shock has been buffered, let's say, if I put it that way. And some of the people I've been listening to forecast that we are due to experience a much deeper global energy supply crisis in the coming months. Let's say some people are saying August onwards. So my sense is what we're doing at Himalayan Rocket Stove is trying to prepare options that are fuel diverse. So rather than trying to, we do already have cooking solutions, and we specialize in clean biomass. That's what we do. But now we're developing multi-fuel stoves that offer waste oil, wood, pellet, briquette, and as well as LPG cooking all in one unit. So the idea being that as we move into a world of energy insecurity, we need to cook, we need to eat, obviously. So we want to create cooking consistency with fuel diversity. So that's the approach that we're taking. Obviously, there's still a bit of development to do, but we're basically bolting together proven technologies into one unit. So it's not like we have to reinvent the wheel. And putting it into a form factor, coming back to my original point, which involves minimal habit change. So obviously the commercial cooking sector was the one that bore the brunt of the crisis so far. So we're targeting that sector with commercial solutions. That's what we're looking to introduce as our new product range. We already have domestic cooking solutions, but there are plenty of let's say, reduced fuel biomass solutions on the market. So in that sense, we're not trying to just fill that space with yet another, clean rocket stove. That space I think is well occupied. I guess where I really, where I find, I did the number crunching in terms of fossil calories, the fossil calorie deficit as a result of the current crisis, and the non-fossil calories, I'll say. I used to just talk about biomass calories, but let's include the non-fossils, which includes the solar, the biogas, and any other solutions which I haven't thought of. I think everything is needed, basically. I think we all need to work together as a group to offer as many solutions as possible. So just so that we're on the same page there. But just in terms of waste biomass, there's enough calories on the ground to replace LPG completely, according to my numbers. The problem is the collection, processing, and distribution of those calories. We ran various pelletized fuel pilot projects in different parts of India over the years. And even when we could get pellets at 6 rupees a kilo, we were competing with wood that's subsidized in the Himalayas at 14 rupees a kilo. By the time you get the pellets to the end user, we're having to charge 25 rupees a kilo. So we just couldn't compete on price. So if I have one request to those who are whispering in the ears of our policy gurus, is that we divert the funds that used to subsidize LPG and wood even to the distribution, the supply chain distribution of pellets, because we have an incredibly mature pelletization industry that's apparently growing rapidly in India. So we have the calories, we have the collection and processing, but where I see the main friction point is that distribution, that last mile distribution, because it just costs so much to get those pellets to the end user. So then as a stove designer, manufacturer, supplier, I'm happy to supply, make and supply stoves that will fit a context. So I don't design things according to what I like. I design according to what I see the market wants, what the cultural habits of a particular region are, what the available fuel sources are, and then we'll try and create technology to fill that gap. So that's more or less where I'm at, and that's where I guess I'm here to listen. But there are a few thoughts that I have off the top of my head.
Thanks, Russell. And you made a few very important points. The most important one, which is also close to my heart, is all these various technology people, we should come together and provide cooking solutions rather than each of us individually selling our products. Let's move on to Piyush.
Thank you, Dr. Gave. It's very interesting discussion, and I would like to join, sort of add some points from our experience of distributing biodigester solutions. So, first of all, a brief introduction about our organization. So, Systema Bio is a over 15-year-old social enterprise founded in Mexico, and then expanded our operations in some other Latin American countries, and then in Africa, and then in India in 2018, and that's where my story comes in. So we have been working in India for more than 8 years now, I would say. We have installed more than 120,000 biodigesters. We work in more than 22 states, and we currently produce and install between 3,000 to 5,000 biodigesters every month. So that's the kind of scale that we operate in. You may have heard about biogas from, you may have read about it, you may have seen it in the field. One key differentiation I want to add, which has happened in the previous technology versus the new technology that we have come up, is that the biogas used to be, there were two primary designs. One was called as fixed dome design, Deen Bandhu, and another one was called KVIC design, which was a floating drum kind of design. And government India has ran sort of a very long biodigester subsidy program, I think more than 40 years old or something, and have more than 5 million biodigesters have been installed into that program, and that program still continues. So one of the key sort of challenge in the previous technology was it was very skilled dependent. So which means that you need to have thousands of masons trained on and constructing a biogas tank, and which require a specific skill, and also the material needs to be perfect in combination of like sand, cement, and other things. And if you don't have those combination perfectly, you'll start to develop cracks, and then once the cracks develop, the biogas will start to stop producing, because it is an anaerobic technology. So the first thing that we did was we sort of innovated on the material of the system. So the new type of systems that we manufacture and produce, they are made with a special material called LLDP. So these materials are much more robust. They are manufactured in the factory and do not develop any crack or do not get any deformed due to any weather conditions, sun, rain, or any other environmental conditions. So that is the primary sort of thing that it fixes, and then it can be installed, as compared to the previous technologies which used to take 2 to 3 weeks of time. Our technology can be installed within 1 day. It can be transported into any remote rural area and can be installed very easily. So these are some of the advantages of the technology. If I have the permission, I just want to show you a couple of pictures so that everybody could maybe see how our technology looks like. So these are the modern biodigesters that look like. You can feed from one side, and the feed goes into the ground. It's about 2.5 feet deep, where the slurry gets stored, the biogas gets produced, and the biogas is stored on the top part. And then the resultant mixture is a biofertilizer, or the bioorganic slurry, which can be directly fed into agricultural field. It comes with more than 10 years of warranty. So these are and then depending on the farm type. So if the farmer has, say, 3 to 5 animals, we can install the smaller one. And then if the farmer has, for example, 100 or 200 animals, we can install larger ones. So this is the kind of technology, I'd say. I'll show you one more picture. So basically, when we talk about DRE, so distributed energy, and with our case, what we do is whenever we install a biodigester, we capture a GPS location. So this is a map of India. You could actually zoom in, and you can like review For example, in which district of in which village the digesters are installed. So you could see a map of distributed energy. So it's good to visualize sometimes, because India is such a big country in that perspective. So now I'll come to briefly to the topic of how during the LPG crisis, how biogas is sort of leading the way. Some data point before I talk about it is that so India has about 33 crore LPG connections, and as we know that the India's population is roughly, you could say, 40% urban area now, about 60% in the rural. It used to be 70-30, but I mean now you could say more urbanization. We are about 40-60. So still 60% or majority of the population living in the rural area. We are primarily working for the customers who are living in rural area. Our target customers are the people who own dairy, who have dairy, maybe 2 or 3 cows or 5 cows. So mainly smallholder farmers. So they are our primary target customer segment. And just to give you the context, India has 8 crore families who have cattle. This is the data from National Dairy Development Board. So quite a significant population living in rural area have ample biomass in terms of livestock waste, which can be converted into clean cooking, clean gas, which is biogas. And we aim to target this customer segment. So yeah, a few things have changed. The first thing is we work a lot with dairies, dairy cooperatives, all the bigger dairies like Amul, and the related cooperatives of National Dairy Development Board. So we started getting inquiries from a lot of dairies of like, can you work with our farmers and implement more biodigesters? So that is one sort of positive note that is happening. Another side is, of course, we have been invited to work with the government, especially to the MNRE and the Ministry of Livestock, who specifically deal with biogas subsidy and providing the farmers the new technologies. So that we also seeing very encouraging and positive developments happening over there. And the third one is from the users response. So although in our work we have to work in the ground in the rural areas promoting the technologies, we do have a customer care number and farmers calling our customer care number inquiring about the technology. So previously we used to receive like 20 to 30 calls a day, and lately we have been receiving like 100 calls a day. So almost 5 times increase in the number of calls. Talking about whether or not that is converting into technology adoption, I wouldn't say that it has also increased 5 times, because primarily we are trying to provide a technology to the set of users who are finding LPG expensive, which is already a subsidized fuel. So the customer segment, specifically dairy farmers, the high price, I wouldn't say high price, but still the technology adoption could become difficult. So if we have to scale biogas in the country, there are a few things. My suggestion will be to this group who are working in the policy segment is that we have to incentivize technologies which are renewable, and we have to sort of not promote or subsidize technologies which are conventional and not which is like sort of polluting, I would say. So fossil fuels. So we have to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. So that is one. So how can we incentivize biogas? The second is, I would say, apart from bringing the affordability gap, we also have to look at what kind of financing mechanisms we can develop. And there are some good examples in solar, where in solar rooftop with PM Surya Ghar Yojana, there have been a lot of work done on the financing side of it. I think what if similar mechanisms can also be brought in the biogas sector. So this will also be beneficial. Another angle that we should look at is the cost of technology should always be compared with the cost of fuel, which is sort of landed in your doorstep. And many times what happens is when you calculate the LPG is when it is subsidized, you have to compete with the subsidized price of a fossil fuel. So it can be difficult to then bring the technology to an affordable level. And I'll give an example of solar. So solar, if you know that 15 to 20 years back, it used to be like 20 rupees a unit. I'm talking about industrial scale solar. And then the government and the policymakers, they took steps. And so what happened was a lot of investment happened into the solar energy, and then gradually with economies of scale and also the technology advancement, the cost of solar energy went down. I think similar thing needs to happen in the cooking sector, be it for biogas, be it for biomass. Is the government or the end users needs to adopt at a mass scale. And once that mass scale adoption comes, the cost of technologies will come down, and it will be affordable. So yeah, these are some of my suggestions, and I look forward to discussing more and having more questions.
Thanks, Piyush. And that was also an important point you made, that yeah, if the numbers start growing, then things will definitely improve on the cost side also. We have a few questions in chat, and I'm sure people also would like to ask some questions. So let me first look at the chat. Okay, so question for you, Piyush, is that is this the way you are operating your business? Is it generating local jobs also?
Of course. So every geography that we work in, first of all, we hire local technicians. So technicians who work as a plumber, work as electrician, work as masons, in fact. So we train them on how to install biodigester technology, how to provide service. So we have trained more than 1,000 technicians so far. We have a sort of on an ongoing basis. We always have 600 to 700 technicians in our who every day who install our biodigesters. So it does create a lot of local jobs, not only for technicians but also people who are working in the areas trying to promote the technology. So yes.
And also the fertilizer sort of adds to the farmer's income also. So in
Yes,
that sense, that's also adding to the livelihoods. Vishakha, there is a question about if you can explain a bit more about the Surya Nutan stove. I'm sure other people also would be interested in that.
Yes. So the Surya Nutan cook stove which was introduced by the Indian Oil Corporation, uh, is a solar cooker which works on a hybrid model. So it has a solar panel that's connected to the cooker. You can keep this cook stove indoors, and also it has phase change material which acts as a heat storage medium. So this cooker stores energy while it also cooks, and like any other induction cooktop, it has a similar kind of top wherein you can place your cooking vessels on it, and the food gets cooked using the induction or heat energy. And then uh, after sunset also, the stored heat from the phase change material can be utilized. So the phase change material kind of acts as a battery, and that can be utilized for that heat can be utilized for cooking.
And what's the cost?
Yeah, so I was just coming to that. Currently, the cost is pretty high. The manufacturing cost itself is hovers somewhere around 85 to 90,000. But the selling cost, which is kind of a subsidized cost, is somewhere around uh, between 40 to 45,000, but it's still on a very higher end. So the government has recently run a challenge uh, for innovators to come together so that the cost of the cooker can be further reduced. Also, the cooker can be made into a compact design, which can be more uh, easily can be easily accommodated into the kitchens of all sorts, like even in apartments and buildings and individual or smaller households also.
Yep. Yep.
So that's where we are on that cooker.
Yeah. Thanks. Chitra has raised the hand, so let's take a question from Chitra.
Yeah. Hi, Priyadarshini.
Hi.
Thanks for this
Hi.
webinar. Most useful. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Amma, I want to bring the focus on to the urban landscape. And because there's been a lot of interest in the community that I live here in Bangalore, and people have begun asking me about, all these cooking options for urban households. So I have two questions. One is for Russell and the other is for Piyush. In the case of, these advanced combustion stoves, in a recent assignment of mine, I was able to introduce EcoSense, the Jyoth 2.5 stove. And this was in a peri-urban slum area and for a community cooking, setup. The women really took up to it because, LPG to come was very difficult. They had to buy it in the black. And, two of the main tasks for them was boiling and frying. And, stoves with that kind of intensity serves very well. And like you've said, really the hiccup then was while I could introduce the stoves, how do I guarantee the year round pellet supply? There will be cost variations, but even in terms of the supply guarantee. And now, if I want to introduce these stoves, even in my community, which is fairly upscale and, single bungalow type, they have big kitchens, they have a backyard, they can still keep the stove and may do some of the key cooking tasks. The popularity and uptake, I think, will come when there's a point where, given the convenience now, people can literally order, let's say, biomass pellets in Insta or, Big Basket.
Yep.
Right? That's one about stoves because, the advanced cook stoves are really good.
Yes. Got the question, Chitra.
Right.
The question for Piyush.
Piyush, I have come and seen in System Bio, I've seen the factory and also the ease of installation. And I feel this can even be done in, urban household backyards. The challenge really is about how do you use kitchen waste as fuel? That's the thing that if you could throw a little light, because all these deflatable balloons are good with dung. So what can we do to make it more commonplace and in using kitchen waste? Yeah.
Thanks Chitra. Russell, you want to respond?
Just so to clarify, if I understand the question, was how do we ensure the reliable supply of pellets?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. The way we would do it is integrate fuel supply into our distribution network for the stoves themselves. So if a customer can get to one of our dealerships or outlets to buy a stove, they can also buy the pellets. So far, we've tested that as a pilot. We have not done it as a matter of course, simply because the cost dynamics, which I mentioned earlier. If they were competitive, we would definitely happily supply them even at cost. We don't need to make a margin on the pellets, although of course it would incentivize our dealers if there was a small margin. But that's the simple answer.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, we sell, the company that I have founded, we sell a biochar-based steam cooker, and we supply the fuel also at cost. That is the only way to make these special fuel-based stoves to work. But in urban areas, Chitra, there is a huge organic waste available, and there is a potential for a pellet making to happen at a city level. So that's something that somebody needs to explore that.
That gap. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Piyush.
If I could just add one more point. My general manager, Abhishek, was just recently at the World, was it Environment Day Expo in Delhi? He said that the overwhelming majority of vendors were selling pelletizing equipment. So it seems like it's a rapidly growing production landscape, which hopefully is great because it means that it will be more decentralized and therefore closer to the end user. Hopefully.
Yes.
That's what that means.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah.
And for urban areas, our technology was not specifically designed for food waste because it can create acidic conditions inside the digesters, but we are working on building a version for urban households.
And there are manufacturers who are specifically designing and building for kitchen waste. That technology also has been around for a while. A lot of improvements have happened. More user friendliness has come in. So that's all. That solution is definitely there for people who have space in cities.
But does it use the same this kind of balloon?
It's organic waste. Yeah. There is a balloon. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think some more questions are there in chat.
There's one for me.
Yeah, there's one for you from Soumya. Do you have any tie-ups with CSR to enable subsidizing the initial cost? And what about the current absence of policy support?
Yeah, so we do have CSR tie-ups, but many times they are very geography oriented. So for example, if there's a company who's based in Gujarat who want to do CSR, they will primarily try to focus on geography, which is of course low community but based in Gujarat. So we don't have a pan-India CSR connect. I'll be happy to, if there's any organization in this who's listening here, we are very happy to.
And I think you already answered that there is a challenge of finance for low-income communities. Bhupinder wants to know how can clean biomass stores overcome the convenience habits built around LPG, and how do we reassure households that their investment remains valuable even if LPG supplies return to normal? Russell, you want to respond to this?
Yeah, I don't think there's a single answer to that question because it clearly depends on the habits and the cultural landscape of the user. Typically, where we have been selling our units in the lower to higher Himalayan belt, there's already a habit of using wood fuel through the winter months for heating and cooking. So for us, even if they do have LPG at home, so the habit shift is minimal in that context. I think what we're going to find is the friction of habit will radically reduce when the supply of LPG reduces. So there's simply, as the calories become less available, people will look for any solution that works.
Yep.
And then it will just simply be, people will look at the landscape of what's available and, solar, biogas, biomass, whatever is available at whatever cost that they can afford, will become the driving factors, I guess, is what I see. In terms of the investment, I do think so the way we get a product to market is we make something that's tends to appeal to the higher end of the market, the people who can afford it, and then we trickle back the technology, make cheaper versions, reduce the scale. So right now we're introducing something for the commercial sector, where being able to cook reliably is absolutely fundamental to their business model. So then the investment is easy to justify. So that's where our multi-fuel stove comes into its own. So if they have to pay more upfront for a technology that then will be reliable regardless of the fuel supply, I think that's easily makes the case for the investment.
No, that's a very important point, in fact, Russell. And there has always been this: if you keep this constraint of price right from the designing of the technology, that itself is going to be a big handicap to develop the best technological solution. So one should not keep price as a constraint. Do what is best possible, and then see how you can bring down the price. That's the better approach to do. But this question relates more actually to urban customers, and this is something which even we experienced here in Pune, that there are now people who have never cooked on anything other than LPG, and therefore that skill of lighting a fire with a solid biomass stove, or even thinking about using a solar cooker, etc., is just not there. And that is where the education part comes into play, that we don't have to just sell the product but also teach the user how to use it. And that's an additional cost factor which comes in. But we also have to remember that LPG wasn't adopted very easily. I mean, in the 1960s, 50s, when LPG was introduced, there was a huge campaign because people were scared about LPG cylinders and pressurized cylinder with flammable gas. So all those concerns had to be addressed. People had to be taught how to take care of that pipe and keep the burner clean and all of that. So it is going to be the same story for reintroducing biomass stoves or introducing solar cooking. Biogas has that advantage that it is sort of similar to LPG, so that shift is relatively easy. But any new technology, all that hand holding and training component will have to come in. We are also running out of time, and if there are no other questions, just want to highlight a couple of things. As Russell pointed out, and I think all of us intuitively understand that the bigger shock of this fossil fuel shortage is yet to come. And that, in a way, I mean, in March, when the first panic hit, none of us were prepared. There was a big, suddenly inquiries were coming in, big demand was coming in, but nobody had products to sell. But I think in this period of 3-4 months, we should anticipate that the demand will again go up, and prepare for that for both rural and urban sector. So far, that's another thing, that this sector has primarily focused on rural segment, but the demand is going to increase from the urban segment also. So what kind of product packaging can we do for various income groups, various cooking practices? Can we combine different technologies to provide a complete zero carbon emission kitchen solution? To some extent, we are Vishakha, myself, and biogas manufacturer, we have combined our forces, and we are trying to develop that kind of a model for commercial stores. But can we do it for household stores also for different parts of India? These are some of the things that we had never thought about in the sector before, but it is time for us to relook at what we are doing, and see how we can address this new demand that might come up. It is our experience that although people may be looking at these devices currently as temporary solutions, but once you start using, and there is a the kitchen operation sort of settles into using multiple devices, then the chances are that they'll continue to use it, because the economic advantage will still remain. Even if the supply improves, the prices which have gone up are not going to come down. So the economic advantage of reducing LPG dependence with the help of these technologies will definitely be will continue to be a motivating factor, is what I feel. So let us relook at the cooking energy sector. Renewables do have a role to play here. Let us grab this opportunity, is the message of this webinar, I think. Thank you very much, Vishakha, Russell, Piyush, Rajashri, and who else was
Aruna.
there? Aruna, yes, Aruna, for sharing your experiences and your thoughts. Over to you, Gitanjali.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah, I think
You have already given the thank you note also, so I think we can end
Thank you
the
to
meeting.
the audience
Thank you
also.
everyone once again for joining us, and we wish to stay connected. Thank you.
Thank you all.